All right, well, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Hang and Hunt podcast. This is version 1, episode 1.00, the OG.
Yeah, the original.
It's pretty
I guess
cool.
session. Yeah. The intro session.
We did try, full disclosure, we tried to record some podcasts earlier. We did them over the phone or over the interwebs.
Yeah, and they were fun. I mean, we just sat and BS the whole time, but I think the audio on them was
Audio sucked.
subpar.
Yeah, and we kept falling asleep on each other. Not actually on each other.
Within each other's grasp.
Yeah. There's some fun audio clips where one person is looking for the other, wondering what's going on.
Billy?
Yeah.
Billy, are you still there?
Yeah, you're
Hey,
snoring.
in my defense, I was tired that day.
It was late.
Yeah, it was really late. It was like 3 p.m.
Yeah, that's a long day.
Well, 12-pack deep at 3, that'll put you to sleep.
It's the IPAs, man. They sneak up on you.
That's what it was. They were hardcore IPAs. I think they were like 8% alcohol. I had like half of one and put me on my butt.
The problem was your umbrella got in the way.
That and the flour.
Yeah, my little cherry straw just is so. So, anyways, welcome back. So, the Hang and Hunt podcast is going to be pretty cool. Obviously, it's a play on just hanging out and talking about hunting.
Yeah.
And it's going to be fun to be able to actually shoot them in person here and put some videos up. So, what's cool is what you guys are seeing is literally unedited, raw. You might as well be sitting at the other end of this table, kind of BSing with us because Billy basically comes over to my house. We come down into the man cave here, and we start recording. There's no coaching. There's no discussion about what we're going to talk about. This is as off the cuff as we can get. I think that's kind of cool because, it's real, raw, unfiltered stuff. I mean, this is as close as you can get without us losing sponsors.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to tone down certain things that you'll have to meet us at the bar for us to actually tell you what that is. But Taylor, why don't we introduce ourselves a little bit? I know some people out there do know who we are, but why don't you start off and tell our listeners exactly?
Yeah, and it is kind of odd because normally when I'm in these settings and I'm introducing myself, I normally have to say what I am after who I am. So this is a little different.
You don't have to give your rap sheet today, though.
Good, thank you.
Good.
Yeah, it's just a Google away. Whoopsie. See, look, raw and unfiltered to get a phone call.
Didn't you just say,
I did.
Oh, let's put our phones on silent?
That was a requirement, and I'm going to... It's on airplane mode. It shouldn't be ringing. Now it's on Do Not Disturb as well. So
maybe you had Wi-Fi calling on, which I hate.
I do have Wi-Fi calling on.
That's what it was.
Well, I'm Taylor. I'm addicted to whitetail hunting. Yeah, so for anybody out there that doesn't know me, my name's Taylor Chamberlin. I live in Billy, and I live in the outskirts of Washington, D.C., so we live in the suburbs of Northern Virginia, and I hunt whitetail deer, so do you. So what's cool about that, though, is we have an incredibly overabundant whitetail population here in D.C., and I don't know why I'm looking at you, because you know all this.
I'm beautiful. That's why.
I just can't take my eyes off
Just start
of
batting
you.
your eyes at me, too. Hey,
Like
girl.
it's a little butterfly. So anyways, in the outskirts of Washington, D.C., we have a huge overabundance of whitetail deer. So much so that the Department of Game and Inland Fisheries are unable to put a number on that in order to quantify it. But
yeah, there have been numbers thrown out. I think the biological carrying capacity optimally is like 15, 20 deer per square mile, and there have been figures that have been thrown out in these regions of 1, 2, 3, 400 deer per square mile. And when you have deer poop littering people's yards and you can't take a step and it looks like you're, stepping on raisins everywhere, the deer population's out of control.
Yeah, it's out of control. And we'll get into that more so because that doesn't mean that hunting here is easy just because there's clearly an abundance of deer, but they figure out pretty quickly that you're hunting them. But, to get back to kind of introducing myself, I hunt anywhere from 150 to 220 plus days a year. So I haven't figured out if my wife hates that or loves that.
We'll talk about that.
That's probably its own episode.
That's going to be a huge topic that we need to cover because
my gardener loves it when I'm gone, and
So
my wife does too.
yeah.
That's weird. But little Juanita, she's so great. Yeah. So, I mean that's me in a nutshell. Is
Yeah.
I basically I'm a bow hunting junkie, and Billy and I together, we have a ton of properties that we hunt on in order to reduce the overabundant whitetail herd here.
Yeah.
So, Billy, who are you?
Now you know I'm Billy. My name's Billy Phillips. Like Taylor said, I grew up in this area around D.C., and I grew up in a hunting family. I didn't really get serious into bow hunting until after college when I moved back up here. And I knew I wanted to get back into whitetail hunting, and I was a teacher at the time, and I had a few of my students and their parents who would say, "Hey, oh, you're a bow hunter? There's so many deer in my backyard. You should come over." And that really just started a snowball effect, and I actually started shooting a lot of deer in people's backyards, met a few like-minded people, and went on from there. We do tons of hunting, and we've had to figure out how to do that and have a balance in our lives, because when you have so many deer and unlimited tags for antlerless deer, at least, it's a kid in the candy store. So we have a ton of experience with that type of hunting, and for me and Taylor also, we're not only whitetail hunters. You're into fishing and upland hunting and stuff like that, and I'm a falconer also. So we're in the outdoors a lot, even though sometimes it's just in people's backyards.
Yeah, and what's kind of interesting about all that is, Billy grew up in a hunting family. I did not grow up in a hunting family. I actually taught myself how to hunt, but I got really into hunting when I was in college, which is when I learned how to hunt. And then
what were you hunting for in college, Taylor?
a good time. Yeah, but any time that I was able to drive a car, I was out in the woods hunting, and we were both competitive in college. You were a wrestler. I played golf. But it was funny. I did not know Billy until I moved back to this area, and we met through a mutual friend because, I was getting into the urban hunting, and Billy had a lot of experience in it. And I mean, we just kind of hit it off right away. And as people that loved being outdoors, loved hunting, loved going to the bar, and and it's that was what, like 12 years ago.
Yeah.
13 years ago.
Yeah. It was at least 12, 13 years ago.
Yeah.
Lucky 13, right? and like one of the first times we hung out, like, do you remember I was in a townhouse and you were asking me about like the tree stand stuff I use?
Yeah.
And yeah, that's right. And I was like, well, this is my saddle. Let's go check it out. And there was a tree that was like this big around in my front yard. And I was like, oh, let's get in it.
Yeah.
And I think that was, you had heard about tree saddles from like the Eberhardt, you know. But that was like one of the first times we hung out.
That was the first one that I had ever seen. So I had been reading. When I taught myself how to hunt, I read everything I could possibly find on hunting.
Yeah.
Magazine articles, like TV shows, books, everything. And so I got really into the Eberhardt books. Mm-hmm. And that was the first time I'd heard about a tree saddle. And so this was like 2008.
Was it Bow Hunting Pressured Whitetails?
Yeah.
That was the first one that,
Yep. And so I remember reading that book. I still have it down here somewhere. Mm-hmm. And it's like dog-eared on the saddle. And like, it's funny how things work out, right? Because right after that is when I met you. I mean, literally like the day after that. Mm-hmm. So it's fresh on my mind. You mentioned something about saddles, and I'm like, oh, I read about that. Like, let me check it out. And I remember sitting in it and going home and being like, I'm buying one of those as soon as I get home.
Were they still in production then?
No.
That's right.
And I didn't know that. So I hadn't realized that they were not in business anymore, but I found one on eBay, and I didn't even know that there were different models of them, right? Like,
you were like, tree saddle.
Yeah.
That's
I'm like, that's what Billy had. I bought it. And, later, now hindsight obviously being 2020, they had one that had a detachable lineman's belt, which is the one that you had, because you actually wrote an article for them that got published, right? You and Kiki, and Kiki is a buddy of ours named Kevin, and so you had that one. I bought just the first one I found on eBay, and like I was like pretty fresh out of college at the time, like new to working. I had like no money, and I remember this thing cost like $150. I think buy it now on eBay, and I bought it, and I remember thinking to myself, I'm not going to go out to the bars for like a week.
A week, that's one session for you.
This was a big deal. I'm like a 22, 23-year-old.
You still went though, because all you did was, "Hey girl, buy me a drink."
Yeah, I did. At ladies' night, I had to dress up. That was more frowned upon back then. But I remember buying this thing and thinking like, oh, geez, like $150.
Yeah, and then you realized, oh, I can't climb the tree. I don't have sticks yet.
Yeah, yeah. And actually, funny you mentioned that. I went to like Dick's Sporting Goods, sold the one by your house, sold Lone Wolf, and they had them on sale. I remember I got some like crazy deal. I bought 2 packs of sticks. They were like $80 a pack on clearance, because I think it was like January, February when we were doing this. But yeah, it's just so funny now thinking about not only like how good of friends we are, but the fact that, I mean, like saddle hunting is how we hunt, and not saying that we wouldn't hunt from a tree stand when the opportunity presents itself, but you know, between Billy and I, we're hunting on probably anywhere from like, geez, I don't even know how many properties we have permission to hunt on.
Oh, yeah.
Over 100 probably.
It's plenty.
And so there's no way possible that we can keep tree stands in all those locations. It's hard enough to keep sticks in those locations.
Yeah, and then each year, throughout the year, you need to inspect them. You need to change
or like a
straps
squirrel
out.
eats through
Like,
them or something.
It's a pain.
Right.
And we do like to be mobile a lot. And in places that we do have tree stands, we were just talking about this earlier today. You know, if I have a lock tree stand or a lock on, like on a family farm or something like that, I still take my saddle.
Yeah.
I'll go right up the tree, get into the tree stand, and I'll just like, you know, either the bridge or the tether, I'll just elongate them. Once in a while I'll sit down, like feeling kind of weird because I'm sitting in a tree stand. So I usually end up standing up on the seat, and I'm still using my saddle in, because it's a great spot. I'm not gonna like pick another tree when that's the kill tree, right?
Well, and it's easier to get up in it. You know, I mean, it's funny because for me, I don't know about you, it's like walking up to a tree and climbing it with my sticks is so second nature now.
Oh yeah.
That I'm just like, it feels odd to climb a tree that already has stuff in it. You know. You
know what I'm not very good at is, you know, there's like the line, like, I don't know what they are. Like hunter safety
the
system.
safety line.
The safety line, right?
It's a really hard thing to remember.
I'm like, yeah, right. Ooh, safety line. I can't remember that.
Two words.
Like, I'm like, how do I know how to use it. Like, I'm not stupid. Like, well, maybe I am, but it's like, it's so awkward to be able to use it. I just feel like just throw my lineman's belt around the tree and just go up.
Yeah,
they're irritating.
It was funny because, like, thinking back to when I first started saddle hunting, it felt like I had 2 left feet.
Yeah.
I mean, it was definitely a progression and a learned thing, but it's just it's cool to see how far you come. And granted, like, we are really an exception to it because we get to hunt so
we're
often.
In the we're using the equipment so much. I always tell people when they first get into saddle hunting is there's a learning curve, and that first 3, 4, 5 times you do it, you're going to really like it. And that 6th to 10th time, you're going to go, oh my gosh, I totally suck at this. I'm clanking my sticks. I'm just making a mess. And then it seems like that 10th, 12th time, you find your own rhythm and you find your own system.
Yeah, you kind of hone it in too, right?
You do, absolutely. You're kind of a master at kind of finding those little tweaks in the DIY things. Like, you taught me, like, I still do it. I take my sticks and through one of my straps, I'll just wrap it through my straps, and you're like, no, why don't you like tie a piece of paracord and you can hang it off of here? And I'm like,
well, there are 2 different brains at work here, right? Like, Billy is a fucking animal when it comes to stuff like this. Yeah, and I'm like super anal when it comes to like dialing it in. It's just the way that our personalities are. But it was funny.
Yeah.
We had a photo shoot for Outdoor Life, and you climbed a tree right near me, and we actually climbed to like regular hunting height.
Yeah.
And I remember watching you climb up. I was like, oh my God.
Well,
this
you
guy's
used 4 sticks
animal.
and I used 3.
Yeah, and I'm like a lot
foot
taller than you
me.
are. But I remember, like, so Billy will set a stick. When I'm climbing, when my foot is at the top, I use my knee as my line to put the next stick.
Yeah.
Within an inch or so, that's fine. But Billy will actually make his first step onto the tree.
Yeah.
And then push
Lineman's
off
belt
the
around,
tree
push
and
off and
step
climb.
up. I mean,
Yeah.
and I'm talking like this much of a distance for people that are listening instead of watching. Like 18
My legs are only
inches.
that long.
Yeah, you have the inseam of a beagle. You're like Ernie Power.
It's a bench people.
But I mean, I was blown away at how comfortable you were stepping up that.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way. I was really impressed with that because it never occurred to me in a million years that I didn't need to step on the tree.
Well, you've seen me climb before, and I think what it is you're not looking at my feet usually.
What? I mean, how is my phone ringing again?
Turn it off.
After Do Not Disturb mode is on. For all you Apple people out there, help a brother out. I think you have to call like 3 times in a row to get through the Do Not Disturb mode.
No, I think you just have to turn your actual ringer off.
Oh, there's a power button on this thing.
Oh, there are? You actually turn your phone off?
I could have put it on silent. Gosh. And still raw and unedited. Everybody gets to see the whole thing.
Yeah, one more mistake, and it's going to be like...
It's a flogging.
You start stripping an article of clothing.
We want people to watch this. Yeah, so anyways, basically our goals for this podcast are just like they are with all the content we put out there, is anything we can do to help educate people or put a smile on their face, we're all about. And so
we're going to be here to have fun. Hopefully you guys have some fun with us and learn some stuff. And we have plenty of experience out there and lots of hunting stories that we want to share too, that the people who do know us and have heard our stories are always asking us to tell them again and again and again.
Yeah, well, they get better every time we tell them too.
Yeah,
right?
I tell you, when you hone your craft, right?
Exactly. Yeah, so
that buck was...
Yeah, it's the biggest. But yeah, if there are any specific things that you guys want to know out there, feel free to leave a comment below on the videos or leave a comment on the podcast. But, let us know what you want to know. And or if there are any particular stories you want to hear also, feel free to ask. But, we're just trying to share the expertise that we have in over a decade each of hunting
in urban areas.
Yeah, 150 to 200 plus days a year. Like, I mean, we're not joking when we're talking about like almost at divorce level of hunting, and then traveling to hunt and then coming back home and hunting, which we were kind of joking about earlier. But, fortunately, we've gotten to a point in the hunting industry where hunting takes us places, and it's cool. But at the same time, it's definitely a little tough.
Yeah, that can be, and we're gonna dip into an episode about that family life balance that you have to have when you hunt so much. And I'm 100% sure there are people listening right now who are saying, "Yeah, my wife gets a little irritated, or my significant other, my husband and wife get irritated because I'm out in the woods all the time, or when I'm not hunting, I'm shed hunting, or I'm scouting, or I'm going to a seminar, or I'm shooting my bow indoor, or doing 3D, and how do you balance that?" And we'll definitely delve into that because we've been down that road
a lot. Yeah, so
still battle it a little bit.
Yeah, no, for real. So hopefully you guys enjoy it and let us know what you want to hear. So we'll see you soon. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, guys.